A very good evening to all my dear students. So, welcome to the third session for chapter number 9, which is audit of items of financial statements. Okay. So, I can see Kiran, Diksha, Bhumika, Manisha, Rajiv, Kumar. These students have already joined. Others also please join. And I hope that students till this page number, I think, let me just, 9.34. I have asked you to go through the module once or twice. I hope you have done that. Please quickly send in your replies if you have any queries relating to the topics that we have covered so far. So what all topics have we covered? We have covered the topic of assertions. We have covered the topic of share capital, and the note is also done now. Reserves and surplus, then borrowings, and the notes pertaining to borrowings is also covered. And thereafter, we started with trade receivables, whereby we were on the valuation part. Okay. So quickly send in your replies whether whatever we have done so far in this chapter, whether that is clear and whether you have gone through the module or not. So quickly send in your replies. Dikshita, Shubham, Jyoti have also joined. Dikshita is saying, ma'am, yes, I have read. Diksha is saying, ma'am, everything, it's clear. So with a very positive note, let us start with today's topic, which is valuation of trade receivable. Hannah. So in the last session, we have seen that with respect to trade receivable verification, first of all, the auditor will have to perform the test of control with respect to sales. Hannah. Based on the results of his test of controls with respect to the sales, he will decide the nature, timing, extent of substantive checking of what? The trade receivables. Okay. Substantive procedure में we have seen existence, then direct confirmation procedure we have in completeness also we have done. Then we saw various concepts of bill and hold sales, Hannah, reviewing the receiving log, credit memos, Hannah. Then we were at valuation. Okay. So tell me if you remember in the last session also I've asked you to tell me as to what comes to your mind when we discuss about valuation of trade receivables debtors. Bhumika, I'll take up your doubt. Let me just finish with this trade receivable part. Then I'll take up your doubt relating to dispatch log. Okay. So see, valuation. So the first thing that comes to my mind is provision for bad or doubtful debts. Hannah. So auditor has to review the company's process to derive the allowance for doubtful debts. That is the provision for the doubtful accounts. Hannah. So he can compare the provision that has been made this year vis-a-vis the provision that has been made last year, Hannah, in order to see whether the provision there is consistency or not, the method is appropriate or not, right? And in order to see whether appropriate percentage of provision has been made or not, auditor will obtain what? Aging report. What is aging report? How old is a trade debtor? Trade receivable, Hannah. And you will see when we will be doing inventories, verification or trade creditors, you will see that aging report is obtained by the auditor from the company. So auditor is able to see as to for how long this amount is still lying as a debtor. See, if it is more than, let's say, 2 years, then why? What is the reason? Is provision required with respect to this account? Is this account to be written as bad debt? So auditor will apply his professional skepticism, right? He'll obtain the list of all the debtors under litigation. It might be possible na, that there are certain debtors under litigation. That is why the amount is not been recovered. Hannah. And he'll compare it with the previous year. He'll scrutinize all those accounts and he will see whether, as per his professional judgment, as per the professional skepticism, as per the data available, whether the provision is to be created or any of the debtors is to be written off as doubtful or bad or doubtful. And in case of any discrepancy, like management has not created any provision, but according to the auditor, the provision should have been created, he'll ask management for the reasons. And if the dispute all exists at this moment also, there's a litigation with that data, he'll perform further testing, like he'll check the litigation papers, Hana. He'll check what is the status. He may inquire with the legal department of the organization. So he'll perform other procedures, right? With respect to provisions, as we have seen that he will see whether the provision has been calculated at the appropriate rates. He'll prepare a schedule of movement of bad debts, provision, or debt written off and compare it with the previous year. The ratio of bad debt to sale, he'll compare it with the previous year. In case of any unreasonableness, he'll compare it and discuss it with the management. And students, if you remember in the last session also, I've told you that whenever any account has been booked as a debtor, either cash will be received against this or the payment will be received or it will be written off. And that write-off will be done by the approved authority, like board of directors, है ना? In case of a company. So ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई भी आकर it might happen that the accountant, he himself has obtained certain payment from the debtor and he is then writing it off in the books of the company. So this should not happen. So that written off should be as per the appropriate authority. ठीक है? Is it clear? ठीक है? So let us just have a look at this valuation part from the module. So he'll review the process followed by the company for allowances, what provision, consistency comparison करेंगे with the last year, where the method is appropriate. He'll obtain the aging report. ठीक है? And see, it might be possible na, that any of the debtor has not been recovered for, let's say, a period of, let's say, more than 1 year because it is under some litigation. Okay? So he'll obtain a list of the litigation, compare it with the previous year, scrutinize the analysis. If any account appear to be doubtful, discuss with the management as in reason as to why it has not been included in provision. Okay? Further testing करेंगे if the dispute or exist. Appropriate rates पे है नहीं, schedule of movements check करेंगे, compare it with the previous year. And write-off should be with the appropriate authority like board of directors in case of the company. ठीक है? So is it clear? This was with respect to valuation. And there was a doubt of Bhumika with respect to. So what was the doubt, Bhumika? She's saying, ma'am, please explain shipping and dispatch log. See, whenever the goods are sold, right? If such goods are shipped, Hana, then there must be certain shipping documents now that on this particular date, these goods have gone on the ship. They have been loaded on the ship. This clarifies the date of the sales now as to when the sales have taken place. Same way, if there is dispatch log, record when the goods are leaving the factory. So there also the auditor can compare the dates of the invoice with all these documents in order to see as to which period this sale actually pertains to. Okay? Bhumika, is it clear? Okay? Now let us have a look at the trade at the disclosure part of trade receivables. Again, a very important topic. So disclosure requirement. And see again, if you remember, I told you that with respect to the way we have done for borrowings, that requirements of AS 11, same way with respect to the trade receivables also, the auditor will have to see whether the trade receivable has been restated at the correct appropriate rate as is required by AS 11. That is effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. ठीक है? Related party transactions हैं, whether these have been disclosed as per AS 18. And there is one section 189 of the Companies Act. And this we will be discussing a little bit in detail in chapter number 10. So auditor will have to see whether any of the transaction which is covered by section 189. So what exactly is this? Section 189 deals with register of contract or arrangements in which director directors are interested, है ना? So in this case, in fact, you will see in CARE 2020 that there is a separate reporting requirement on the auditor also. So, auditor needs to ensure that the transactions with parties covered under Section 189 are reported properly as per CARE 2020. Okay? Now, as per Schedule 3, Part 1 to the Companies Act, the trade receivable aging schedule is required to be given by the company. Trade receivable aging schedule. Age is what? How old the debtor is. See, यहाँ पर there is a requirement. See, outstanding for following periods from the due date of payment. So let's say a period of 90 days is given to the debtor that on this day the credit period ends. From that day, due date of payment, whether the debtor is old for less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 years, or more than 3 years. Students, this is one of the recent amendment in Schedule 3, as I was telling you in the last session, also effective from April 21. Earlier, the bifurcation was what? Up to 6 months, more than 6 months. See, why this bifurcation? Again, I'm telling you that all these disclosure requirements that the company is required to give, basically, this will help the users of the financial statement, or let's say the investors, to know as to whether the money is blocked. See, more than 3 years, if any amount is there, let's say total debtors are 10 CR for the company. Out of this, 1 CR pertains to 2 debtors where the amount is blocked for more than 3 years. Hana? So in this case, this is going to help the users in order to understand whether these are fake debtors or whether this is what, where exactly the money is blocked, right? So outstanding for following period from due date of payment less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, more than 3 years. So, and this is to be divided into 4 parts. Undisputed trade receivables, considered goods. See, just try to understand. These are undisputed trade receivables and which are considered good. Then why these are outstanding for more than 3 years, or let's say 2 to 3 years. Undisputed trade receivable considered doubtful. So that is to be mentioned. Disputed trade receivable considered good and disputed trade receivable considered doubtful. So the company needs to give a disclosure like this with respect to the aging schedule of the trade receivable, right? And where no due date is mentioned, then from the date of the transaction, such information, this 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, this period will be calculated. And unbilled dues, if any billing abhi has not yet been done, then that shall be disclosed separately. Okay? So a very, very important note, disclosure with respect to trade receivable aging schedule, whereby the disclosure is required from less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, more than 3 year. Further bifurcated into 4 categories. Undisputed, considered good, undisputed, considered doubtful, disputed, considered good, and disputed, considered doubtful. Clear? Further, the trade receivable shall be classified as secured, considered good, unsecured, considered good, and doubtful, right? Allowance for bad and doubtful debts shall be disclosed under relevant head separately. For each of the head, the allowance for bad and doubtful debt will be mentioned. Further, the debts due by the directors or officers of the company. If any of the trade receivable is due from the director or officer of the company, whether jointly or severally, then that shall be disclosed separately. Also, if a debt is due by any of the firm or a private company, where the director of the company is firm के केस में क्या होगा partner or he is a director, है ना? So पहले वाले केस में तो क्या था? If a debt is due from the director or officer, कि director officer ही क्या है? Trade receivable है, ठीक है? And in the other case, it is mentioned a firm where the director of the company is a member, or a private company where the director of the company is a director, है ना? So that shall also be disclosed separately. ठीक है? Yes, Darshan, you are correct. It is provision. Okay. So this was about the disclosure requirement. Very, very important. This aging schedule, as I've told you, this is one of the amendments in. This is one of the part of the amended schedule 3. Hana. So very, very important. In case of any doubt, please let me know. Then I'll proceed further. Bhumika, I hope your doubt is clear. Darshan, you also tell. Is it clear? Quickly send in your replies. Then we'll start with cash and cash equivalents. Bhumika, Darshan, please reply. See, outstanding from due date. Shubham, see, let's say a credit period of 60 days is given to a debtor. Okay? So what is the due date of payment? Let's say it was sold on 1st April. So 60 days, April, May, let's say 31st May go. This is what the due date. So from here, the this time period will be calculated. Shubham, is it clear now? देखो कैश सेल्स नहीं है ना तो डेटर आता ही नहीं ना फिर तो ऑन द डेट ऑफ सेल द पेमेंट मस्ट हैव बीन रिसीव्ड दिस इज व्हाट क्रेडिट पीरियड इज गिवन है तभी तो क्रेडिट सेल्स बोल रहे हैं तभी तो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स या डेटर्स अराइज हो रहे हैं ना सो फ्रॉम द ड्यू डेट व्हेन द पेमेंट बिकम्स ड्यू फ्रॉम दैट डेट इफ इट इज आउटस्टैंडिंग फॉर लेस देन 6 months ठीक है क्लियर चलो गो so now we'll proceed with cash and cash equivalents and one of the student is saying, ma'am, auditing is very tough to remember than any other subject. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. And especially I've told you that this chapter is very easy because you already have an understanding of various concepts in this chapter. है ना? Account से कुछ पढ़ोगे, law से कुछ पढ़ोगे, already audit में कुछ पढ़ा हुआ है. But yes, some kind of language is expected out of you because this is a professional examination, है ना? So some kind of keywords you will have to pick up. उसके लिए कुछ नहीं करना है आपको सेशन को ध्यान से सुनना है and you have to go through this module once or twice and I assure you that your understanding and learning part will be done है ना yes if you pick up this topic after a week or after a month कि अब पूरा audit हो गया now let me just go through the module and then it will be tough for you ठीक है so keep on studying with the sessions itself. Now the next topic is cash and cash equivalents. So before starting with this topic, as we always do, tell me if I ask you, how will you verify cash? So as such, I'm not talking about any particular assertion. Undisputed, just a minute. See here, undisputed means there is some dispute going on with respect to that trade receivable. Though as per the legal department, it is good, amount will be received. Undisputed. Disputed is, see, undisputed is where no dispute is going on, sorry. Where no dispute is going on with that trade receivable and it is good. Hana? Good is, it will be recovered. Undisputed and doubtful. As such, there is no dispute. Let's say that party has become bankrupt. तो doubtful है, ठीक है? Disputed and considered good. There is some litigation going against with respect to this trade receivable. But still, as per the legal department management, the company is going to win the case. And disputed and doubtful is that what? That some dispute is going on, some litigation is going on, and chances are there that there is some doubt on the recovery. Okay, is it clear, Dikshita now? Dikshita, huh? Is it clear? So I've asked you all to tell me as to how will you verify the cash balance. Dikshita, is it clear now? So Darshan is saying verify cash in hand, obtain confirmations from bank. that is good. Himanshu Pathak is saying cash counting balance with bank BRS. Correct. Komal is saying calculating cash balance. Bhumika is saying cash book, bank statement and cash flow statement. Okay. So tell me, uh, should, just a minute. Tell me, let us see who is able to fill in this blank. There should be an element of dash in cash verification. Tell me. Quickly send in your replies. See, students, see, the topic is cash and cash equivalence. Hana? So, abhi, I haven't received the correct answer. So, I'm waiting for it. Then I'll tell you what is the correct answer. So, it will include what? Cash in hand, bank balance in the current accounts, your FDs, Hana? Your margin money accounts, your cash credit accounts, Hana? Checks in hand, all these which are readily convertible into cash. And see, the chances of being misappropriated is also high with respect to all these cash and cash equivalent items. Chances are there now कि cashier को, let's say cashier is having some cash, है ना? He may use it for his personal use and later on the date of verification of cash कि उसको पता है आज auditors ने counting करनी है 31st March है, he will put back that cash. Next day he's taking again that cash and using it for his personal use, है ना? So misappropriate हो सकता है ना cash, right? So auditor needs to apply professional skepticism all the time when he is verifying the cash. ठीक है? And there needs to be an element of surprise. देखो अगर मैनेजमेंट को या अकाउंटेंट कैशियर को पता है कि 31st मार्च जस्ट if the cashier is aware that on 31st March 2022 there will be cash verification, है ना? So he'll definitely try कि उस दिन तो कोई problem ना हो cash में. Later on or before that he may use that cash for his personal purpose. So that is why there should be an element of surprise check. For example, the auditor what he can do is he can visit the cashier on 31st March. Later on, let's say after 3 days, he again visits, but this is a surprise check without informing the management, without informing the cashier. Hana? In order to see as to he must be having some rough cash book, the cashier, and then tallying the cash amounts. Okay? And when the auditor is conducting the cash verification, he will make sure that the cashier is also present there. Hana? And he'll make him to sign the report that itna cash is available along with the denomination. Now, why the cashier must be present? See, if there is some shortfall, later on the cashier might say that it has been mishandled by the auditor himself. Otherwise, the cash was full because you cannot, stamp the cash notes or anything like that. So it is better that the cashier is present. Further, students, just try to imagine that there are, let's say, there are certain branches also of the company. And the cash is kept at the branches. 2 branches are there. So cash is kept at the branches. Then certain cash is kept with the petty cashier. Petty cashier kaun hota hai? You must have done this in the foundation now. That a person who is in charge of small amount of money for buying small things, है ना? Petty things के लिए, छोटी छोटी चीजों के लिए जिसको खर्चे करने के लिए पैसे देते हैं, उसके पास भी पैसा है. दोनों ब्रांच कैशियर के पास भी पैसा है. then it might be possible that there is some impressed balance of cash. What is impressed balance of cash? See, जहां पर one fixed amount is given to a person कि ये फिक्स्ड अमाउंट लो, इसमें से आप पेटी कैशियर को भी दो, इसमें से आप लेट्स से टेम्परेरी एडवांसेस भी दो एम्प्लॉइज को, और जब ये खत्म हो जाएगा वी विल रीइंबर्स इट, है ना. लेट्स से 10,000 का पेटी कैश है, तो 6,000 से कम आते ही द सेम इज रीइंबर्स्ड. तो it says that the auditor should try to verify, to check the cash simultaneously at each of the location. नहीं तो it might be possible ना कि petty cashier के पास पैसा नहीं है, आज उसका वेरिफिकेशन हो रहा है, तो he may take the cash from the branch cashier. आज यहाँ पर वेरिफिकेशन हो गया, कल ब्रांच कैशियर का वेरिफिकेशन हो रहा है, then the same cash is given to the branch cashier, है ना. So this should not happen. So what is advisable? That simultaneously the auditor should conduct the cash verification. Simple है ना. So as I always tell you that just try to put yourself in a situation whereby you are conducting the cash verification, है ना. तो आपने क्या देखा, आप भी खड़े हो, कैशियर भी खड़ा है, कैशियर को बोला साइन भी कर दो, आपने साइमल्टेनियसली सारी लोकेशन का कैश वेरीफाई किया, एंड देन सरप्राइज चेक का एलिमेंट शुड बी देयर. सिंपल है, इसमें कोई डाउट है? ठीक है. Then I told you that the cashier must be maintaining some rough cash book, है ना. So tally the entries which are done in the rough cash book to the cash book, है ना. जब भी fair उनकी entries होंगी, let's say after 15 days or 1 month, so auditor needs to consider that. See, in case of factories where some temporary advances are given to workers, है ना, so those should be given as per the proper authorization. So auditor needs to consider that. ठीक है. Then there is a concept of cash sensitivity analysis, है ना. So auditor needs to perform cash sensitivity analysis, है ना. What is it? Nothing but the auditor need to compile a summary of total cash receipts, total cash expenses, and each month he'll obtain it from the management कि हर month में what cash was received, what cash was paid, and he'll analyze the trend. In case of any variation कि let's say in the month of June huge difference is there, है ना, receipts बहुत कम है, payments बहुत ज्यादा है, vice versa. He'll discuss it with the management and ask the management to give a description of the same, है ना. अब देखो, for those who were saying कि मैम it is difficult to learn, see cash sensitivity analysis अगर आपने नहीं पढ़ा है फिर तो आप कुछ भी जनरल लिख के आओगे, बट अगर आपने पढ़ा है तो क्या है कैश सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस, ईच मंथ का टोटल रिसीट्स देखना है, टोटल पेमेंट देखना है, कोई वेरिएशन है तो मैनेजमेंट से डिस्कस करना है, एज सिंपल एज दैट. ठीक है. Then auditor will also obtain the bank reconciliation statement from the management with respect to all the bank accounts, है ना. इतना क्लियर है? बताओ. अभी we are just discussing it, बहुत ही जनरल लैंग्वेज में डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. ठीक है. एंड देन आई विल टेक यू थ्रू द मॉड्यूल. इतना क्लियर है? अब देखो, if I ask you as to how to verify the bank reconciliation statement, now you all are aware about the various line items of bank reconciliation statement. देखो, सबसे पहले तो what will auditor do? He will see that first of all he'll obtain the bank reconciliation statement with respect to all bank accounts, है ना. He will see the periodicity of the management कि कितना like what is the periodicity of preparation of BRS, monthly बनता है or is it quarterly, what is it. ठीक है. And then students, whatever are the line item like checks issued but not presented, है ना, with respect to stale checks, checks deposited but not credited by bank, ये सब आपने पढ़ा है ना फाउंडेशन में, तो इन्हीं सबको ऑडिटर इज गोइंग टू चेक. ठीक है. कोई डेबिट्स एंड क्रेडिट्स हैं, देयर विल बी सम डिफरेंसेस, बैंक ने किया है, मैनेजमेंट ने नहीं किया, कंपनी ने नहीं किया, व्हाट आर द रीजन, whatever is the difference, the auditor is going to discuss it with the management. ठीक है. So अभी मॉड्यूल से we will see, but as I'm telling you कि अभी we are discussing it in a very general language. अब देखो, डायरेक्ट कंफर्मेशन प्रोसीजर. सो बैंक बैलेंसेस थे ना आपके, है ना, कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंस की बात हो रही है ना हमारी. तो ऑडिटर कैन ऑब्टेन दी बैंक बैलेंस कंफर्मेशन फ्रॉम द बैंक्स और द फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, and he should obtain such confirmation with respect to all the banks, है ना. कोई डिफरेंस है, बैंक के अकॉर्डिंग कुछ और है, बैलेंस, the balance that is appearing in the financials is something different, then he has to reconcile the discrepancy. And let's say if, just try to imagine yourself in a situation whereby you have sent a balance confirmation request to one of the banks and the reply is not been received. ठीक है, रिप्लाई नहीं आया आपके पास, क्या करोगे फिर? क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज। पॉसिबल है ना, बैंक्स के पास तो कितने सारे कस्ट क्लाइंट्स हैं, है ना, कितने सारे क्लाइंट्स के ऑडिटर्स भेजते होंगे ना बैलेंस कंफर्मेशन। सो इट माइट बी पॉसिबल दैट on certain occasion the reply is not received. What will you do? Quickly send in your reply. So try to consider yourself in a situation ki ha, I'm conducting the audit, I'm checking the bank balances, I've sent a confirmation, I have not received. ठीक है, remind them again, inquire with the management, what else can be done? Quickly send in your reply. Darshan, Shubham, correct. और बताओ। Guduri Singh, communicate with management. See, you can communicate with management and you can ask the management, like management in presence of me or my team member, you just take out the online bank statement. देखो, अगर मैनेजमेंट आपको ऑनलाइन बैंक स्टेटमेंट निकाल के देना, यू माइट डाउट द ऑथेंटिसिटी ऑफ सच डॉक्यूमेंट, है ना, इंटरनल डॉक्यूमेंट है, वो भी एक प्रिंट आउट है। सो इट कैन बी पॉसिबल, यू मे आस्क द मैनेजमेंट कि आई एम सिटिंग हियर इन फ्रंट ऑफ दिस सिस्टम, यू नाउ take the printout of the online bank statement. Or the other option can be you can send any of your team members with the management personnel, with the personnel of the client to the bank branch in order to get the printout of the bank statement. Simple है ना, simple है, logical है, ठीक है। So many of you are saying ma'am we will perform other audit procedures, तो वही तो पूछे क्या audit procedures, ठीक है। And further, in case any of the bank balance is in foreign currency, again the provisions of AS 11, and then what is left in this is the disclosure requirements, ठीक है। अभी हमने कुछ भी डिटेल में नहीं पढ़ा है, बहुत ही जनरल लैंग्वेज में देखा है, ठीक है। लेट अस गो थ्रू द मॉड्यूल, ठीक है। क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज, थोड़ा थोड़ा समझ आए, आई एम नॉट सेइंग एंटायर कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग थोड़ा थोड़ा, like 30-40%. And students, by so far now, you should be now able to think the correct answer by your own, है ना। In the last session also I've told you that start thinking, start imagining yourself in a situation ki ha, I'm conducting the audit and this is the situation, this is the assertion that I'm verifying. Why? Because in the exam you may get any of the assertion, any of the items of the financial statement, which we might not have covered in the sessions, okay? Because the name of the chapter is what? Audit of items of financial statement. There are a number of items of financial statement. So if you have a habit of started, analyzing as to what can be the audit procedure, what can be the documents. So this habit, if you develop it right now, this is going to help you in your exams. ठीक है, ठीक है। Yes, Rajiv Kumar has answered correctly. Can send team members to verify directly with the bank, है ना, ठीक है। So let us have a look at this from the module. So cash and cash equivalents में क्या क्या आ गया आपका? Balances held with banks, current accounts, margin money accounts, cash credit, fixed deposits, checks in hand, ठीक है। These are readily convertible into cash. So utmost professional skepticism करना है. Why? Because chances of misappropriation, these are what? Prone to misappropriation, ठीक है। So how? See, special care is necessary regard to verification and it should be checked by surprise. Important, ठीक है। Unless they are checked by surprise, there can be no certainty that cash produced for inspection was in fact held by the custodian, ठीक है। अगर उसको पता है कि अभी 1 घंटे में ऑडिटर आने वाले हैं ब्रांच कैशियर को, तो वो क्विकली पेटी कैशियर से या इम्प्रेस्ड बैलेंस जिसके पास है उससे कैश पूरा कर सकता है ना। For this reason, cash should not only be checked on the last day of the year, but also checked again sometime after the close of the year without giving notice of auditor's visit to the entity or his staff. That is surprise check. अब एक बात बताओ, अगर if you get a question to write a short note on surprise check, so is it difficult to write? कितना logical है ना, बताओ. So for all those who were saying कि मैम टफ है, क्या टफ है इसमें? हाँ, थोड़ा तो अब पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा ना, मॉड्यूल तो देखना पड़ेगा ना. ठीक है. This is a professional examination. A lot of is expected out of you people, है ना. तो keywords क्या है, क्या आपको commanded language use करनी है, वो सब तो देखना पड़ेगा ना. General answers I always tell you won't fetch you good marks. And in fact, not only in this subject, किसी भी subject में, this is not some general entrance paper, है ना, या कोई और पेपर नहीं है, प्रोफेशनल एग्जाम है आपका, है ना. See, margin money account is, see, when a loan is taken, ठीक है, let's say 1 CR का लोन लिया है कंपनी ने. So what happens is 1 CR का कोई प्रॉपर्टी लेना है या कोई आपका खर्चा है, तो the bank will sanction a loan of 75 lakhs and 25 lakhs जो है क्लाइंट को अपना पैसा लाना होगा. क्लाइंट के पास भी तो कुछ होना, सारा पैसा तो ना बैंक दे देगा. द वे इट हैपेंस इन केस ऑफ कार्स ऑल्सो, है ना, कि कुछ पैसा आपको बैंक ने दिया है और 10% और 20% जो है वो पैसा आपको अपने अकाउंट में रखना पड़ेगा, है ना. सो दैट इज मार्जिन मनी. ठीक है. Whose doubt was it? So Barnika, is it clear? ठीक है. ठीक है. देन इट इज मेंशन दैट, सो ये भी देखो कितना लॉजिकल पॉइंट है ना, सरप्राइज टैक्स से रिलेटेड आपको समझ आ गया. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट क्या था कि देयर माइट बी मोर देन वन कैश बैलेंस, लाइक कैशियर है, पेटी कैशियर है, ब्रांच कैशियर है, प्लस इम्प्रेस्ड बैलेंस भी है with employees. All of them should be checked simultaneously as far as practicable so that the shortage in one balance is not made good by transfer of amounts from others. कितना लॉजिकल है. ठीक है. Then it is mentioned it is desirable for the cashier to be present while cash has been counted, and he should be made to sign the statement prepared containing the details of cash balance denomination. If he is absent at the time of cash been verified, he may hold the auditor responsible. कितना लॉजिकल है बताओ, इसमें कुछ डाउट है? ठीक है. Now if there is any rough cash book, तो rough cash book को है, or details on daily basis are kept separately, then the auditor needs to just a minute. He should test entries from the rough cash book with those in the cash book to prove that the entries in cash book are correct. ठीक है. If the auditor finds any slip, chit, or this is what IOU, है ना. So when any temporary advances are given to the employees, na, they are required to sign certain chits, like what I owe this much amount to the company, है ना. So if auditor finds any such slip, then he should see whether these are authorized or not. ठीक है. कैश सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस, अब जिसने नहीं पढ़ा होगा उसको तो ये फिर जनरल आंसर्स लिखने पड़ेंगे, बट जिसने पढ़ा होगा उसके लिए इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ केक वॉक. कंपाइलिंग अ समरी ऑफ टोटल कैश रिसीट्स एंड पेमेंट्स ईच मंथ, analyzing the trends to see if there are any variations in any specific month, and request brief description from the management. ठीक है. You may get this. See, अगर आपको ये वाला लाइन दिया जाए and you are given 4 options की what is this, cash verification, cash sensitivity analysis, or it may be mentioned some other options are also given. So if you have read, you are able to answer it correctly. ठीक है. The auditor needs to obtain bank reconciliation from all the for all the bank accounts, and he need to see the periodicity of making the BRS. ठीक है. अब BRS में क्या क्या चेक करना है, this is the next point. So first of all, the BRS should be signed by the authorized personnel. Then but see, जो the way you prepare the BRS ना, जो भी steps है ना, now you will see that the auditor needs to verify all the steps in the preparation of BRS. So tallying the balance as per bank book to the bank confirmation statement, correct? Simple है. Checking all material reconciling items like checks issued but not presented for payment. Check issued but not presented. तो देखो जहां पर भी चेक इश्यूड बट नॉट प्रेजेंटेड है या चेक डिपॉजिटेड बट नॉट क्रेडिटेड बाय बैंक है, तो सब्सिक्वेंट पीरियड का बैंक स्टेटमेंट भी देख सकते हैं ना कि नेक्स्ट ईयर में, नेक्स्ट मंथ में दैट मस्ट हैव बीन, that check must have been let's say in this case it must have been credited or in this case it must have been cleared, है ना. So auditor can consider that. ठीक है. So for payment of underlying bank book, in addition auditor should request for bank statements of subsequent period. अब subsequent आपको पता है ना 31st March 2022 को अगर कोई चेक है which is issued but not presented, तो subsequently it must have been presented and cleared ना. So verified checks have been issued subsequently have been cleared by the bank. ठीक है. सेम वे विद रिस्पेक्ट टू चेक डिपॉजिटेड बट नॉट क्रेडिटेड बाय बैंक, तो अगर आप क्लाइंट ने डिपॉजिट किया है बट इट हैज नॉट बीन क्रेडिटेड, तो द ऑडिटर में चेक व्हाट द डिपॉजिट स्लिप्स एंड द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ द सब्सिक्वेंट पीरियड. ठीक है. ठीक है. And in case any of the check for instances related to checks not cleared beyond a reasonable time, है ना, the auditor should seek brief description from management and explanation. अगर unsatisfactory है, auditor will see what is the company's revenue recognition policy. Simple है. ओ का मतलब कृष्णा इट मीन्स कि उधार लिया हुआ है पैसा. ठीक है. ऑल मटेरियल रिकंसाइलिंग आइटम्स को लाइक चार्जेस डेबिटेड क्रेडिटेड, जो भी रिकंसिलिएशन के पार्ट पड़ेगा, पार्ट बनेगा, द ऑडिटर विल परफॉर्म द ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स. इफ द मैनेजमेंट डज नॉट एडजस्ट देम, कुछ एक्सपेंसेस हैं, कुछ डेबिट्स क्रेडिट्स हैं which are there in the bank statement but management is not considering them, then auditor will consider the effect on his audit report. Simple. Krishna, is it clear your doubt? Now, with respect to direct confirmation procedure, so you may get a direct 4-mark question ki what direct confirmation procedure the auditor needs to perform with respect to the verifying the cash and cash equivalents, है ना. So it says that auditor needs to obtain it with respect to all the accounts, all account balances. ठीक है. And in case of any discrepancy, clarifications लेना है in from banks या financial institution on any unresolved queries. ठीक है. अच्छा. See, in remote situations where no reply is received, the auditor should perform additional testing regarding the balances. This testing could include agreeing the balance to bank statement received by the company or internet on online login to account in auditor's personal presence. Sending the auditing member to the bank branch along with the entity's personnel to obtain balance confirmation from the bank directly. Simple है ना. वैल्यूएशन में क्या है, अगर फॉरेन करेंसी में है तो AS 11 के अकॉर्डिंग आपकी रिपोर्टिंग हुई है या नहीं. ठीक है. Now the last part with respect to cash and cash equivalents is what? The disclosure requirements. Tell me, यहाँ तक clear है? Quickly send in your replies. So Barnika, your doubt is not clear. What all activities? Please reframe your query. हाँ शुभम, you are correct. ठीक है. So Barnika, please reframe your query. Now with respect to the disclosure requirements. So cash and cash equivalents will be the heading, and it shall be classified as balances with bank, checks, drafts on hands, cash on hand, simple है, and others. ठीक है. Now, earmarked balances with banks, for example, for unpaid dividend shall be separately stated. Quickly tell me what is meant by earmarked. We have done this word earlier also. Reserves के केस में किया था. Quickly send in your replies. Suraj, which part you want me to repeat? Please tell me the page number. And so Barnika, you also please reframe your query. So my query to you is, what is meant by earmarked? See, so Barnika, we have discussed that with respect to BRS, auditor will obtain the BRS from the management with respect to all the bank accounts. Direct confirmation procedures may be all banks go, uh, and obviously it will depend upon materiality also. ठीक है? And further, whatever audit procedure, अब आप कैश वेरीफाई कर रहे हो तो सभी के साथ वेरीफाई करोगे ना, ब्रांच कैशियर के साथ भी, पेटी कैशियर के साथ भी, है ना? So is it clear? See, the nature, timing, extent of the audit procedures will depend upon the materiality, the results of internal control, auditor's professional judgment, auditor's professional skepticism, है ना? It will vary from case to case. Earmarked is when it is reserved, set aside, correct. ठीक है? So see if any of the fund, any of the cash has been reserved for being paid as if as unpaid dividend, है ना? If any of the dividend is unpaid and such amount is kept in a separate account, it is reserved, that is, it is earmarked. So reserved for certain purposes. So that needs to be separately stated. So Gudurvi, Diksha, Shubham, Manisha, you are correct. So Barnika, Sayed, Darshan, absolutely correct. ठीक है? ठीक है? So if any of the amount, see now since it is reserved for a particular purpose, it is not free to be used as cash, na? है ना? So that is why to be shown separately. Same way, balances with banks to the extent held as margin money or security against borrowings, guarantees, or other commitments shall be disclosed separately. So I explained it to you earlier also that if the client has taken, let's say, a loan of 1 CR, so pura jitna bhi amount hai, bank doesn't give that amount. Let's say 75% is given by bank, 25% the company will have to take its own fund. So those 25 lakhs are kept in a separate bank account, margin money account, है ना? So that is also to be shown separately. Repatriation restrictions. If tell me what is meant by repatriation in respect of cash and cash balances shall be separately stated. Quickly tell me repatriation क्या होता है? So see, if the company is having, this is currency, CRRENs. If the company is having certain balance with a foreign in foreign currency, है ना? So there must be certain restriction with respect to the conversion of such foreign currency amount into INR, है ना? So if there are certain restriction, it might be possible ना that there is a restriction कि इतना minimum balance तो आपको इस account में छोड़ना ही पड़ेगा, or any such restriction. So if there are repatriation, that is when the company is converting the foreign currency into local currency. So with respect to cash and cash balances, that also needs to be shown separately. ठीक है? And last, bank deposits with more than 12 months maturity shall be disclosed separately. देखो, if any FDs are there, 100 कोई term deposit है with more than 12 months maturity. So if the maturity is more than 12 months, so you cannot just break it in between ना, तो वो भी तो आपका block हो गया ना, है ना? Let's say there is a FD for let's say 5 years, term deposit है 5 years को, तो 5 years के बाद ही it is going to mature, so that is to be shown separately. ठीक है, Jyoti, you are absolutely correct. ठीक है? So what we have seen with respect to the cash and cash equivalents, again, a very good question with respect to 4 marks. Anna, in fact, if you remember, I told you that borrowings mein one of my favorite question is with respect to current maturities of long-term liabilities. And this is the next question. 4 mark question mein bahut hi acha question hai that what are the disclosure requirements with respect to cash and cash equivalents? So balances with banks, checks, drafts on hand, cash on hand, and others. Earmarked balances with banks, for example, unpaid dividend ke liye, it shall be stated separately. Balances with banks to the extent held as margin money or security against borrowings, guarantees, other commitments shall be disclosed separately. Repatriation restrictions, if any, in respect of cash or bank balances shall be separately stated. Bank deposits with more than 12 months maturity shall be disclosed separately. Okay. So with this, we have covered the verification of cash and cash equivalents also. Quickly tell me whether it is clear or is there any doubt. And जिसने भी doubt पूछा, whether all your doubts have been cleared by me or not. कोई doubt रह गया है तो please send it again. For few seconds, we'll be starting with verification of inventories. So for all those who want to take the screenshot of this summary can do that. ठीक है ना? So देखो, are you able to take the screenshot? Cash and cash equivalents. Diksha is saying, "Ma'am, now clear." Diksha Agrawal is saying, so Barnika is saying clear. ठीक है, is it clear? Quickly send in your replies. ठीक है? So I hope you all have taken the screenshots. Now tell me. So what we'll do is we will again try to discuss this inventory in a very general language, and then I'll take you through the module. Tell me, with respect to inventories, what all provisions come to your mind? Accounting standard कौन सा mind में आता है? We have done standard on auditing also. Quickly send in your replies. So Darshan is saying AS2. ठीक है. क्या बोलता है AS2? Just the keywords. Write the keywords in the replies. Shubham is saying AS2. Bhumika has answered correctly, Hannah. She has given the answer for standard also. Others also please reply. AS2 तो है. Valuation of inventory. Standard on auditing कौन सा पढ़ा था हमने? Because that knowledge is going to be used here. Standard कौन सा पढ़ा था? Corrects that AS2 says inventory to be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Absolutely correct. अब कोई भी ऐसे मत लिखो. ऐसे 501 पढ़ा था ना, जहां पे we saw, I made this diagram if you remember. ये मैनेजमेंट पर्सोनल था, ये स्टाफ था, and this was the auditor, remember? And ये हमारा स्टॉक था, इन्वेंट्री थी. अब कुछ याद आ रहा है? Quickly send in your reply. तो देखो ये ही सब है. इन्वेंट्री को वेरीफाई करना है ना, वेरियस assertions वेरीफाई करने हैं, and also in the first session I've asked you to go through the assertion का table given in the starting with respect to the balance sheet captions, है ना. वहां पर example of inventories given. अब जिसने उसको पढ़ा है, जिसने SA 501 पढ़ा है और AS2 की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ना, for that student this inventory part is done. ठीक है. तो देखो इन्वेंट्री वेरीफाई करना, whose responsibility is to verify the inventory? Quickly send in your reply. Yeah, just a minute, I'll change my question. Wait. Physical count of inventory, physical verification of inventory, first and foremost, it is whose responsibility? or performing the physical inventory count. Whose responsibility is this? So it is the management's responsibility. तो ऑडिटर को क्या करना है? We all have done that. Auditor will attend the physical inventory count which is being conducted by the management. ठीक है? Now, when the auditor is attending the physical inventory count, देखो इस diagram से समझो. So when the auditor is, this is the auditor, he is attending the physical inventory count. He'll see कि supervisor है ना. He'll see that these personnel who are conducting the physical inventory count, they are signing the reports, है ना. He'll see that this inventory, these, let's say these are cartons, so these are not empty, है ना. He may perform test count. Remember, he will see that these inventory, let's say these are what, let's say some perishable product, let's say some chocolates are there, है ना. So he'll see that these are properly tagged, जहाँ पर quantity, expiry and everything is mentioned, and whatever is the information is coming in the tags, these employees must have prepared certain summaries. He'll compare that. Then these summaries will be compared with what? The actual inventory records. Simple है, ये सब हमने पढ़ा है, ठीक है. Then you will see that auditor here will also obtain what? Aging report, है ना. Because देखो अगर कोई इन्वेंट्री है जो पिछले 1 साल से यूज ही नहीं हुई है, the value must have reduced now with for that inventory, and the auditor must know na what is the reason. Is that inventory damaged? Is that inventory obsolete? है ना. क्या what is the reason why it is not being used? तो aging report लेंगे. Inventory turnover ratio, है ना. Remember, हमने ये सब पढ़ा होगा है, ठीक है. Then apart from this, AS2 तो आपने सबने बता ही दिया. Just AS2 में क्या बताया आपने? That cost or NRV, whichever is lower, the inventory should be valued at that, where the auditor will see that. ठीक है. In case of any discrepancy, like the counts of the physical inventory results, those are different from what is getting reflected in the financials. So he will discuss with the management. And one more important thing, the table that I'm talking about, this assertion wala topic है ना, start of the chapter में जो है. So if any inventory is lying with a third party, so let's say A Limited is my client, है ना. So if the inventory of A Limited is lying with a third party for, let's say, some job work purpose, so that inventory as such belongs to A Limited now, so that will be included in the total inventory of A Limited. But vice versa, that inventory of B Limited is been kept at the factory, let's say, of A Limited for some job work to be done by A Limited. Then since this inventory belongs to B Limited, this shall not be included in the inventory of A Limited. Simple है. You can always get an MCQ कि ऐसे ऐसे the job worker की inventory A Limited के पास है. So whether that will be included or not, or what will be the total cost of inventory, whereby you must be given 4 options, है ना. So clear है ये, ठीक है. And we have seen that empty boxes पे auditor needs to be alert, ठीक है. Then again, inventory का cut off कैसे check करोगे? The way you have checked for trade receivables, है ना, that during, suppose this is your 31st March 2022, which is the cutoff. तो यहाँ पर जो भी receiving reports है of inventory, यहाँ पर जो भी receiving reports का क्या मतलब है? जब भी inventory आई होगी, there must have been certain entries ना. आपके पास भी the company must be having certain invoices of the purchase of the inventory. तो auditor can compare them कि जब inventory आई है, then only it must be considered as inventory of the client. So auditor can consider that. Arithmetical accuracy can be checked. Now with respect to rights, tell me, right के लिए कौन सा document check कर लोगे? Quickly send in your replies. अभी we are just having a general discussion. Rights के लिए क्विकली सी, जो भी आपने इन्वेंट्री के रिक्विजिशन ऑर्डर्स होंगे, और योर परचेज ऑर्डर्स मस्ट बी देयर, परचेज must be there. So auditor will consider all these documents in detail. ठीक है? And one more topic is there. Tell me, if the inventory is lying in warehouse, है ना, ऐसा हो सकता है ना, that inventory of the auditor of the client is lying in the warehouse. Tell me what document you will check. Warehouse से क्या ले सकते हैं? Quickly send in your replies. External confirmation. Confirmation ले सकते हैं ना. What is the quantity? ऐसे 501 में पढ़ा है ना ये सब. Last topic था, है ना? Then in this topic, we have the valuation with respect to raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. This you all must have done in AS2, तो एक repetition है. Then with respect to obsolete items, auditor needs he needs to perform certain audit procedures, है ना. Obsolete या damaged inventory को at what value it has been included, whether it has been included in the total inventory, auditor needs to consider that. And apart from this, we have the disclosure requirements as per schedule 3 part 1. ठीक है, तो इतना ही है inventory. So we will do one thing, before taking you through the module, let us just take a break of 10 minutes here, and then I'll take you through the module, and in case of any query, I'll take up that. After the inventory, today we'll be starting with tangible, your property, plant and equipment, a very, very important topic. Hana? So let's take a break of 10 minutes here, and then we will do it from the module. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. So we have discussed inventories topic before the break. I need to take you through the module. I'll do one thing. I'll take you through this summary first because many of you have asked me to show you the summary also. Then we'll see the module. So with respect to the existence assertion, auditor will review the entity's plan of physical inventory count. He'll participate in physical inventory count. He'll test count, that he'll perform certain test count on his own or his team will perform. He'll observe the employees. He'll see that all items are tagged, tags are with proper amounts. Supervision, whether the management is doing the supervision or not. टैग्स को जो भी समरी शीट्स बनेंगे उससे चेक करके इन केस ऑफ एनी डिस्क्रिपेंसी द सेम विल बी डिस्कस विद द क्लाइंट. रिमेन अलर्ट टू एम्प्टी बॉक्सेस या ऑब्सोलीट आइटम्स, है ना. कट ऑफ टेस्टिंग का वी हैव सीन हाउ द ऑडिटर इज गोइंग टू चेक दैट. Last 5 10 receiving reports, yes, shipping document in order to see as to which year, to which period that purchase of inventory pertains to. And any stock of the third party or damaged or obsolete goods shall be inventory shall be excluded. We'll see that all stock sheets have been accounted for. In case of any significant differences, like whatever is the outcome, final result of the inventory count, he'll compare it with the results that are coming in the financial statement and he'll see. In case of any significant differences, he'll investigate. The entities personnel who are conducting the physical inventory count, he'll make sure that they sign all the stock count sheets. And if the inventory is conducted periodically, let's say year end, so in that case, auditor can attend the inventory count at the year end only. That is the time when the management is conducting the physical inventory count. In case of perpetual inventory updation, perpetual is what? Continuous. For example, in case of your grocery stores, अब वहां पर तो कंटिन्यूसली अपडेट होता रहता है ना कि ये वाला सामान चला गया है, ये वाला सामान आना है. तो परपेचुअल continuously you are able to have a look at what quantity of inventory is left. So there the auditor can conduct the inventory count at the interim dates. ठीक है. And if entity's inventory is lying with a third party, that is to be included in the total inventory. What analytical review procedures can be performed with respect to the inventory and the relevant essays, essay 520. So a comparison of the individual inventory, budgets, previous year trend analysis, inventory turnover ratio auditor can consider, that is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Or vertical analysis. What is vertical analysis? So it basically is what? Inventory, total inventory as a percentage of total asset is what? Vertical. Vertically आप analyze कर रहे हो ना कि what is the percentage of inventory with the total assets. Budgets और actuals को compare कर सकते हो and non-financial data like weights, measurements इन सबको भी check कर सकते हो. Compare them with the previous year trend. ठीक है. परचेज, सेल्स, कट ऑफ, ये सब हमने पढ़ा हुआ है. ठीक है. थर्ड पार्टी, ये सब पढ़ा हुआ है. राइट्स के लिए परचेज ऑर्डर, रिसीविंग रिपोर्ट, वेंडर इनवॉइस, पेमेंट फाइल, है ना. Collateral agreements. What are collateral agreements? Where the inventory has been kept as a security. So whether all the terms in the agreements are being met by the organization or not. So where the inventory has been given as a security, right? Invoices, ownership होना चाहिए. Significant terms जो भी है उसको कंफर्म कर लो. If inventory is kept with third party, obtain what? External confirmation on the letterhead of the third party warehouse and signed by the authorized personnel. Valuation हमें पता है AS2 FIFO. AS2 says that it can be FIFO or weighted average. And further वाला topic, let us just have a look from the module. अच्छा, with respect to obsolete, damaged या slow moving, so auditor will see what is the possible realizable value, है ना. And he'll carefully value that. He'll carefully examine that valuation. How will auditor know that any of the inventory is obsolete? He'll obtain an aging split, है ना, कि कितना पुराना inventory अभी तक है ना. And he'll see what is the replacement cost. He'll see the inventory turnover ratio. And last but not the least, he'll see that all the direct expenses, material, labor, overhead are included. Abnormal wastages are not included in the valuation of inventory. है ना? Valuation अभी we will do it from the module. So inventories are what? These are what? Current assets. है ना? Held for sale in the ordinary course of business, मतलब finished goods, or in the process of production or sale, work in progress, or for to be consumed in the production process, that is your raw material. Inventories to be valued at lower of cost or NRV. ठीक है? So entity का क्या plan है? Consigned goods को अलग से, that is third party goods. ठीक है? He'll participate, test count करना है, observe करना है employees को, tagging है या नहीं ये check करना है. सुपरविजन एडिक्वेट है या नहीं, प्रॉपर अमाउंट टैक्स पे है नहीं, समरी के साथ रिकंसाइल करना है, डिस्क्रिपेंसी है तो क्लाइंट पर्सोनल के साथ डिस्कस करना है. एम्प्टी बॉक्सेस ऑब्सोलीट आइटम्स के लिए ही नीड्स टू बी अलर्ट एट ऑल द टाइम्स. कट ऑफ टेस्टिंग 510, रिसीविंग रिपोर्ट लास्ट की चेक कर सकते हैं. थर्ड पार्टी ऑब्सोलीट ये सब एक्सक्लूड करेंगे. ऑल स्टॉक शीट शुड बी अकाउंटेड फॉर. सिग्निफिकेंट डिफरेंसेस हैं, डिस्कस करो. Periodic system. See, when the entity uses periodic systems for inventory count, it should be undertaking at the end of the period. Okay, obviously, when the company is getting the physical inventory count, तभी तो attend करेंगे ना. If the entity uses perpetual system, I gave you the meaning is what? Continuous. And example of grocery stores. With proper adequate records, inventory may be counted at an interim date. Investigate for any differences or job work के लिए है तो line with third party है. Check all the documents and all. What all analytical procedures? तो SA 520 है ना? Comparison with industry trends, budgets, prior period या trend analysis, inventory turnover ratio, vertical analysis, inventory by total assets, budgetary expectation, non-financial data. If you remember SA 520 में आता है ना? फाइनेंशियल एज वेल एज नॉन फाइनेंशियल डेटा. एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर का डेफिनेशन आपने चैप्टर नंबर 8 में पढ़ा होगा. तो वहां नॉन फाइनेंशियल डेटा की भी बात होती है, लाइक नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज का एग्जांपल दिया हुआ है. सो वेट्स एंड अदर मेजरमेंट्स को भी ऑडिटर कैन चेक. देन कट ऑफ चेक कर सकते हैं, टैग्ड इन्वेंट्री, क्लरिकल अरिथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी चेक कर सकते हैं, जनरल लेजर से चेक करो, थर्ड पार्टीज के साथ है ना, ऑल दीज थिंग्स. नाउ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द राइट्स, underlying document like purchase requisition, purchase order, receiving resolve, vendor invoice, cancel check, payment check, consigned goods को ध्यान से चेक करो है ना. correspondence, collateral, consignment agreements को चेक करो. material purchase commitment agreement है तो उसको चेक करो. invoices चेक करो. confirmation ले लो. this is with respect to warehouses है ना. lying with the third party, obtain a declaration from third party with respect to the business letterhead signed by the authorized personnel, है ना, confirming that the items of inventory belong to the entity and are being held by such third party on behalf or for the benefit of the entity under audit. ठीक है. Now with respect to valuation, see, depending upon how the business operates, the management may value the inventory on first in first out basis or the weighted average basis. है ना, ये आपने AS2 में पढ़ा है. Now the valuation is given as for raw material consumables, for work in progress, and for finished goods. ठीक है. So before this, tell me जो अभी तक हमने पढ़ा है whether it is clear or not. Then I'll proceed with this valuation part. See, so Barnika, she has a doubt with respect to tagged inventory. Let me just take you through that point. So where is that point? So Barnika, if you can just tell me the page number. See, with respect to, so she has a doubt in this point with respect to tagged inventory. Perform test for omitted transaction and test for invalid transaction. See, on the inventory, tagging has been done. Na? Ki suppose this is the carton number 1, this is carton number 2. है ना? So in the final records, it should not happen that any of such tagging is omitted. कि let's say कार्टन नंबर 1 को इसमें omit कर दिया है, ठीक है. Test for invalid transactions. Suppose there are in total 12 cartons. So 13th carton should not come. That is invalid नहीं आना चाहिए, है ना. तो इसमें से the tagged inventory should not be omitted here. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि tagging तो हो गई है but final sheet में आपका उसका आ ही नहीं, that particular tagging is not coming. So with respect to tagged inventory, perform test for omitted transaction कि कुछ छूट तो नहीं गया है which should have been included, and test for invalid transaction कुछ add तो नहीं हो गया है which should not have been added. ठीक है, whose doubt was it? So Barnika, is it clear? Is it clear? So ठीक है. Now with respect to valuation, see the basic funda is the same, that it need to be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. ठीक है. So with respect to raw material and consumable, ascertain what elements of cost are included, carriage inward, non-refundable duties. So auditor will consider as to what elements have been included in the cost of raw material or consumables. If standard costing is used, है ना, standard is basically budgeted cost has been derived by the management. So what is the basis of deriving at that standard cost? And in case of any variance, how the same is been dealt with in the accounting records. ठीक है. So standard costing are used, inquire into the basis of those standards and how these are compared with the actual cost, how variances are analyzed and accounted for in the accounting records. Test check the cross cost prices with the purchase invoices received in the months prior to counting. देखो, if any inventory has been purchased, है ना, before the month in which counting is taking place, तो जिस रेट पर आपने इन्वेंट्री को परचेज किया होगा वो ही तो नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू भी होगी ना उसकी, या वो आपका क्या होगा, कॉस्ट होगी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट इन्वेंट्री. सो कंसीडर दैट. इन केस ऑफ डैमेज्ड और एब्सोल्यूट इन्वेंट्री, ऑडिटर नीड्स टू कंसीडर व्हाट इज द रियलिस्टिक नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू. तो अगर डैमेज या ऑब्सोलीट है, देखो that is going to be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. And in that case, the realistic net realizable value is obviously going to be less. Why? Because it is damaged, it is obsolete, है ना? So auditor needs to consider that. So I told you that the thumb rule is what, cost or NRV, whichever is lower, आपको value करना है. Only the direct components, cost, direct material, direct labor, direct expenses will form part of the cost, है ना? Now with respect to work in progress, what stages of production value addition has been done, है ना? What is the estimate basis for that? Then ascertain what elements of cost are included. If overheads are included, ascertain the basis on which they are included. Compare them with the data available, है ना? Ensure material cost exclude any abnormal wastage factor, है ना? ठीक है? So the thumb rule is the same. For finished goods and goods for resale, again, what costs are included, how these have been established, ensure that overheads included have been determined on the basis of normal cost only. ठीक है? Ensure that inventories are valued at net realizable value if they are likely to fetch a value lower than the cost, that is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. With respect to the obsolete and damaged item, again, possible realizable value. And with respect to, now this point is with respect to what? Your obsolete, damaged, slow moving item. तो possible realizable value, and whether these are obsolete and damaged कैसे पता चलेगा? Aging split ले लो. Less than 30 days, है ना? 30 to 60, 60 to 90, 90 to 180, 180 to 365, more than 365. Follow for inventories which are damaged or obsolete. Compare the recorded cost with replacement cost, है ना? Because if they are coming at cost, then what is the replacement cost, right? Examine the vendor price list if recorded cost is less than the current price. Calculate inventory turnover ratio. Obsolete inventory may be revealed if the ratio is significantly low. Why? Because देखो, if inventory is not moving, इसका मतलब inventory is the obsolete or damaged inventory still being kept with the client. then auditor needs to consider that. And again, last but not the least, auditor needs to ensure that only direct labor, direct material overhead have been included. ठीक है, clear है, simple है. Now, with respect to the disclosure requirements, Schedule 3, Part 1 to the Companies Act, whether the inventory has been classified as raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, store spares, loose tools, and others, whether the goods in transit have been disclosed under each of these heads, whatever heads are mentioned, if there are any goods in transit that have been mentioned, and the mode of valuation. What is the mode of valuation? FIFO hai, weighted average hai, that needs to be mentioned. And again, this is a very good question for a 3-marker. Like a 3-marker question can always come, that what is the disclosure requirement with respect to the inventory. Okay. So with this, we have covered another item of financial statement, balance sheet side, which is what? Inventory. Tell me, shall we proceed further with the verification of property, plant and equipment? Yet another very interesting topic, property, plant and equipment. Send in your replies. So Barnika is saying, ma'am, clear. Others also please reply. So Himanshu, with respect to your doubt of 12 months fixed deposits, na, see, that is why it is mentioned now. So there can be, see, fixed deposits. This is with reference to students' disclosure of cash and cash equivalents, the last point, है ना? So fixed deposits, these can be callable or non-callable. Callable is what? Which you can, get it matured anytime. Okay? And non-callable is, let's say if it has been taken for 5 years. So it will be matured after 5 years only. उससे पहले you cannot get it matured, right? या उससे पहले you cannot get any money out of that. So that is why it is mentioned ना कि उसको separately ही show करना है, cash and cash equivalents में it will not come. ठीक है? Whose doubt was it? Himanshu. So whatever you are writing is correct. Hana? And that is what we have also discussed. So Himanshu, I hope your doubt is clear. ठीक है, Himanshu, is it clear? And others also please write. So Manisha is saying, ma'am, yes, you can proceed. Darshan is saying, yes, ma'am, we can proceed. ठीक है. So property, plant and equipment. So again, a general discussion and then we will start with the module. So tell me, first of all, property, plant and equipment में what all comes to your mind? क्या क्या include होता है property, plant and equipment में? Quickly send in your replies. Which accounting standard comes to your mind? Himanshu, is your doubt clear? Darshan is saying AS10, which is absolutely correct. And what all is included in PPE? So land and building, plant and equipment, है ना? Furniture, fixtures, vehicles, office equipment, computers. So it is mentioned here. ठीक है? So all these are what? The PPE. ठीक है? Now students, you must have done the concept of whether an expenditure is to be charged to P&L, that is whether it is revenue in nature or it needs to be capitalized, that it is capital in nature. Quickly tell me. Quickly tell me. So tell me whether the acquisition cost will be charged to P&L or will it be a capital expenditure? Acquisition cost of the asset. I'm waiting for your reply. You just write charge to P&L or write capital to be capitalized. So all of you are saying ma'am capitalized. ठीक है. Any of the expenditure which has the effect of increasing the earning capacity of the asset, tell me whether it will be charged to P&L or will it be capitalized. So write second and your answer. So students are saying capital in nature, which is absolutely correct. Okay. Now tell me what all audit procedure comes to your mind. Abhi I'm not saying that. अच्छा चलो ठीक है. I'm saying that with respect to PPE आपको existence देखना है. तो क्या करोगे आप? Existence. ठीक है, capitalized, correct. ठीक है. Now tell me अगर if you have to see whether let's say plant and machinery or land and building whether it exists or not, existence assertion देखना है. So existence कैसे देखोगे? See students, with respect to the various aspects of PPE, you will see that whatever we have done in inventory, for example, existence of inventory, existence of PPE, almost on the same lines. It will be almost on the same lines. So tell me, yes, you will attend the physical verification. Again, see the way the physical inventory count of the inventory is the responsibility, prime responsibility of the management. Same way, performing the physical verification of PPE is the inventory of it is the responsibility of the company itself. Hannah. So auditor will review what is the plan of the entity to conduct the physical verification of the PPE, whether it is annual basis, whether it is once in 2 or 3 years, and accordingly, auditor will also attend that. Okay, and again he'll see same things whether all these inventories are tagged or not. So how tagging will be done with respect to this PPE? If you have visited the college library or your school library, you must have seen that on the table or the chair, the name of the school or the college is mentioned, Hannah, and the table number. So this is what tagging. So auditor will again see whether tagging ठीक से हुआ है नहीं, summary sheet से compare करेंगे, then fixed asset register में check करेंगे. ठीक है. So this is what existence. Same way existence में आपका security का भी point आ जाएगा ना, that if any of the PPE has been given as a security, है ना, so whether a charge fixed asset register में whether a charge has been created against that particular property or not, right? So auditor will consider that. Okay. Now tell me if you have to look at the rights, let's say of plant and machinery, whether the company is having the right over the plant and machinery. Tell me क्या check करोगे? Quickly send in your replies. So Bhumika is saying ownership deed. See, Bhumika, existence के लिए physical verification of the inventory will be done. ठीक है. Now with respect to, I'm saying rights, whether the company is having the right over that, let's say plant and machinery. So what is the first document that comes to your mind? So purchase invoice, ठीक है. And if I say that with respect to land and building rights आपको check करना है कि company का right है या नहीं, तो कौन सा document mind में आता है? Purchase invoice तो नहीं होता ना land and building के case में. What is the document? So title deed, conveyance deed, ठीक है. ठीक है. Tell me if you have to look at the valuation part. So what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Valuation of PPE देखना है. तो what is the first thing that comes to your mind? The way I told you that trade receivable में आप provisions देखते हो. So valuation of PPE में what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Depreciation. Darshan, you are absolutely correct. ठीक है. So then, ठीक है. So now let us just discuss all these assertions one by one. So first of all, revenue and capitalized the expenditure that needs to be charged to P&L or that needs to be considered as in capital expenditure added to the cost. For example, acquisition cost. है ना? So acquisition cost will obviously it will form the part of the cost of the asset. Addition to the asset which have the effect of increasing the earning capacity. Benefits derived which are long term in nature or the expenditure which has an effect of minimizing the cost of production. तो आप उसको क्या करोगे? You will capitalize that. ये सब आपने पढ़ा हुआ है, ठीक है? Now students see there are various kind of revenue expenses like wages. वैसे तो it is revenue nature, legal expense revenue and freight inward revenue. But see if the wages are incurred on installation of a machinery, है ना? Wages are incurred on installation of machinery, then it is what? A capital expenditure. Same way, if any legal expense is there in purchase of land and building, again it becomes what? Capital in nature. Okay? Also, freight inward on purchase of asset is there. Then again, it will form part of the cost of the asset. Yes, the regular repairs on the asset, they will be charged to P&L. They are revenue in nature. Simple है ना ये discussion तो आपको already you all are aware. ठीक है? Now, ठीक है, अब बस answers और नहीं चाहिए. Now we will look at all the assertions one by one. Existence assertion, ठीक है? So exist कर रही है या नहीं कोई building, ठीक है? So what is the entity plan? Auditor will review the entity's plan of physical verification. What is the periodicity? Whether that physical verification will be conducted by own staff or by a third party. It might be possible that the company has outsourced the function to any outside party for the physical verification of the PP. ठीक है? Auditor will then he will attend that physical verification and he'll see that proper supervision by the management is there. Same है ना? Physical verification report ko he'll compare with the working sheets. He'll see that all items are tagged. They carry the ID marks and numbers. है ना? I gave you example of what? कि library में आप देखते हो ना कि that most probably blue या yellow color में लिखा होता है कुछ, है ना? That this is suppose library 1. बहुत सारी libraries हैं स्कूल में. So library 1 table number 1 ऐसे करके कुछ लिखा होगा and स्कूल का name होता है. ठीक है? Reconcile it with the fixed asset register and if any addition is done during the year, so whether the same is updated in the fixed asset register. In case of any discrepancy, try to get it resolved with the management. Okay. Now with respect to the next point, let me just take you through the module. So it says that in case any discrepancy is noted based on the physical verification undertaking and the manner in which such discrepancy have been dealt with in the entity books, for example, any shortages or assets not in working condition or active use should be accounted for as deletions, है ना? अगर कोई active use में asset है ही नहीं, है ना? And it is not in a working condition, तो it should be deleted from the schedule ना. But obviously after the approval, post approval by the entity's management, and when then asset is deleted, then depreciation should have been ceased to be charged after that date of deletion. फिर तो ना depreciation आप charge करोगे. So depreciation should have ceased to be charged after the date of deletion. Simple है? No darshan, no, not at all. See, SA 501 PPE पर apply नहीं होता है. सॉरी वन में आपने क्या पढ़ा था? It is applicable with respect to existence condition of inventory, litigation claims, right? And segment reporting का presentation disclosure. Litigation claims का भी completeness. तो वहां पर PPE आप नहीं mention कर सकते. ठीक है? Don't get confused. ठीक है? So tell me, is it clear? अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा है with respect to the existence? ठीक है? Is it clear? ठीक है? Darshan, is your doubt clear? Don't get confused. देखो 501 में specifically mentioned है that with respect to only 3 assertions with respect to only 3 items, that essay is applicable. इनफैक्ट इन्वेंट्री का भी सिर्फ एग्जिस्टेंस एंड कंडीशन के लिए, वैल्यूएशन के लिए तो ना एप्लीकेबल है, ठीक है. Now with respect to completeness, see whether the PPE that is been reflected in the balance sheet, whether that is complete or not. So what auditor can do, he can ask for a PP schedule from the management, that give me a PP schedule containing the opening balance, the addition, the deletion and the closing balance. तो जो भी schedule में closing balance आएगा, the same can be compared with what is appearing in the balance sheet. Auditor will check the mathematical accuracy. Mathematical accuracy मतलब formula है ना यहाँ पे कुछ, तो check the mathematical accuracy, ठीक है. ओपनिंग बैलेंस को तो आपने क्लोजिंग को कहां से चेक कर लिया, आपको जो भी बैलेंस शीट में आ रहा है, ओपनिंग को कहां से चेक कर लिया, प्रीवियस ईयर ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से चेक कर लिया. नाउ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एडिशंस वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग एंड विद रिस्पेक्ट टू डिलीशंस वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग. एंड अगेन यहाँ पर भी ना देखो, डायरेक्ट 3 मार्क क्वेश्चन आपका बहुत इजीली बनता है एडिशंस में भी या डिलीशंस में भी. स्टूडेंट्स, यहाँ पर देयर इज anything new thing that needs to be discussed, I'll devote more time, I'll lower my speed also, है ना. जहां पर it is just a repetition of what we have been doing since the last 2 sessions, because बहुत चीजें ऐसी हैं जो हम बार बार एग्जाम्पल्स में डिस्कस करते हैं, वहां पे I'll take you through that topic quickly, ठीक है. I hope it is fine with all of you, ठीक है. Now with respect to the additions, तो हमने क्या बोला, अगर completeness चेक करना है तो auditor can obtain the PP schedule, that is what the opening, addition, deletion, closing. So opening को आप last year से चेक कर सकते हो, closing को आप देखो that whether it is same as what is coming in the schedule and the balance sheet. And now with respect to the addition, see, tell me, can anybody just purchase a building or purchase a plant and machinery, or should it be approved by some authorized personnel? Quickly tell me. Quickly send in your replies. Students, send in your replies. बहुत ही easy और बहुत ही interesting topic है. And it can be made this session can be made more interesting by making it more interactive, है ना. So send in your replies. So obviously any of the additions should be approved, है ना. सेम वे डिलीशन भी अप्रूव्ड होना चाहिए ना. ऐसे थोड़ी ना कोई भी उठा के कंपनी का प्लांट एंड मशीनरी को बेच देगा, या कोई भी उठा के उसको परचेज कर लेगा न्यू प्लांट एंड मशीनरी. सो ऑलमोस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू आर सेइंग मैम नीड्स टू बी अप्रूव्ड, ठीक है. So first of all, with respect to the addition, so if you get a question that you are the auditor of the company and you are verifying the PPE and your let's say you have been asked to verify the additions made to the PPE during the year. So first of all, you will obtain a list of all the additions. Give me a list, है ना. जो भी लिस्ट आएगा, you will see whether it meets the criteria as per AS10. AS10 अभी हमने देखा ना कि रेवेन्यू में कब चार्ज करना है या कैपिटलाइज कब करना है. So you will see whether it actually meets the criteria of being recognized as a property, plant and equipment. Simple है, logical है ना, step by step देखते हैं. तो पहले हमने लिस्ट देखा और फिर हमने देखा क्राइटेरिया मीट करता है नहीं AS10. Now with respect to spare parts, standby equipment, service equipment, these will be recognized as PPE if they are held for more than 1 period. And where is it mentioned? It is again mentioned in AS10, है ना. So spare parts, standby equipment, servicing equipment, these needs to be recognized as PPE if they are held for a period of more than 1 year as given by AS10, ठीक है. Further, you will also see that the cost of day-to-day services should not be capitalized. Simple है. Then with respect to the additions, there must be certain purchase prices, installation certificates. The auditor needs to consider that. Why? In order to see the date of addition, है ना. Date of addition के लिए you will see the date mentioned in the purchase invoice, installation certificate, and you will see that all such additions are what? Approved, ठीक है. Now students, tell me if I give you first case scenario, that is where the additions are approved and there is one vendor of that plant and machinery who is a relative of the director. तो directly उसी से purchase कर लेती है company. This is first case scenario. And second case scenario where the company has a proper internal process whereby it calls for competitive quotation from various vendors, है ना? It floats the tenders before finalizing the vendor. ये सब activity होने के बाद ही they finalize the vendor. Tell me case scenario 1, situation 1 or 2, which is correct? Quickly send in your replies. So obviously the second one, ठीक है? So addition should be approved and there should be proper internal process of inviting the competitive quotation, floating the tenders prior to finalizing the vendors and check all the supporting documents. Like when any quotation has been called for, then the mails must have been received, some communications with the vendors must have been there, na? Consider all those things. ठीक है? So all of you are saying मैम second situation, ठीक है? So देखो बहुत सिंपल है ना, आपको एडिशन चेक करने पहले आपने लिस्ट लिया, देन आपने देखा वेदर इट मीट्स द क्राइटेरिया और नॉट, एंड स्पेयर पार्ट्स वगैरह को कब करना है व्हेन इट इज हेल्ड फॉर मोर देन वन पीरियड. कॉस्ट ऑफ डे टू डे सर्विसिंग तो एडिशन में नहीं आ रहे हैं. अब आपको पता चल गया ये एडिशन जेन्युइन है. अब इनके परचेज इनवॉइसेस चेक करो, इंस्टॉलेशन सर्टिफिकेट, सो एज टू सी द डेट ऑफ एडिशन and also see whether these are approved or not, and through the proper internal process and procedure of calling the competitive quotation floating tenders before finalizing the vendors. ठीक है? Is it clear? Same way with respect to deletions also. So if any plant and machinery, that is, it has been discarded during the year, it has been deleted from the PP schedule, है ना? So first of all, understand what is the reason for that. मैनेजमेंट ने अगर कोई मशीनरी निकालनी है, इज इट ऑब्सोलीट, इज इट ओल्ड, इज इट नॉट इन अ वर्किंग कंडीशन, व्हाट आर द रीजन, व्हाट इज द रैशनल, मैनर ऑफ डिस्पोजल, कैसे बेचा है उसको, ठीक है? देन मैनेजमेंट अगेन अप्रूवल इज रिक्वायर्ड. डिस्कार्ड नोट मस्ट बी देना जिसपे लिखा होगा हु हैज ऑथराइज्ड इट, ठीक है? What is the process followed for sale? Quotations मंगवाए थे क्या, टेंडर्स फ्लोट किए थे क्या? अगेन सेम द वे वी हैव डन फॉर एडिशंस. एक्यूरेटली रिकॉर्ड किया है या नहीं डिलीशंस को, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. सो व्हाट इज टू बी रिकॉर्डेड? सो वट एवर वॉज द ओरिजिनल कॉस्ट माइनस द एक्यूमुलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन, ये वैल्यू आएगी आपकी, ठीक है? So deletion should be original cost minus the accumulated depreciation up to the date of disposal. जिस दिन आपने dispose of कर दिया asset, उसके next day थोड़ा ना depreciation charge होगा. It shall cease to be charged till the date of deletion or disposal. ठीक है? And whatever is the resulted gain or loss, whether the same has been accounted for in the books of accounts, auditor needs to consider that. Logical है ना? Reason क्या है? Rational क्या है? What is the manner of disposal? Management का approval है या नहीं? Discard note मतलब when that plant and machinery is leaving the organization premises, कुछ note होगा ना, factory gate पे भी तो check होगा ना ये authorized है या नहीं, ठीक है? Process followed क्या है? Quotations वगैरह call किया नहीं था, and accounting proper किया है या नहीं? That's it, ठीक है? So deletions and additions. With respect to valuation of PPE, auditor will consider depreciation, whether it is charged on all items, obviously except for freehold land. ठीक है? What is the method? Impairment assessment in terms of SAS 28, impairment of assets, whether the assets have been impaired or not. ठीक है? Tell me, is it clear? Valuation भी simple है. Is it clear? ठीक है? Now with respect to the rights, अगर प्लांट एंड मशीनरी है या अदर देन लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग है तो परचेज इनवॉइस ऑडिटर विल सी फर्नीचर फिक्चर्स प्लांट एंड मशीनरी. In case of your land and building, sale deed, title deed. If the original title deed is not with the organization, let's say it has been given as a security, then request the management to obtain the confirmation from the respective lenders कि आप हमें लिखवा के दे दो that they have what? The original papers, and whether the charge has been mentioned in the register of charges and same has been registered with the ROC. ये तो last class में भी आपने किया था, ठीक है? Simple है ना? Now let us go to the disclosure requirements. So देखो यहाँ से हमने ये सब पढ़ा. Revenue, capital in nature, so these will be capitalized. Revenue expenses like wages वगैरह हैं, but these shall be capitalized if wages on installation of machinery है. Legal expense purchase of land के लिए है, and freight invents purchase of assets के लिए है. ठीक है. Existence को कैसे चेक करना है? सो ओन स्टाफ कर रहा है, थर्ड पार्टी कर रही है, पीरियोडिसिटी देखा है ना, सुपरविजन है या नहीं, प्रॉपरली वर्किंग शीट्स काम हो रहा है या नहीं, टैग्ड है नहीं, आईडी मार्क्स है या नहीं, है ना, रिकंसाइल किया. ठीक है. फिक्स एसेट रजिस्टर्ड को अपडेट किया है या नहीं, डिस्क्रिपेंसी को चेक करना है. मूवमेंट ऑफ पीपी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू व्हाट, द राइट कंप्लीटनेस. ठीक है. मूवमेंट ऑफ पीपी को चेक किया आपने, ओपनिंग, एडिशन, डिलीशन एंड द क्लोजिंग बैलेंस. टैली द क्लोजिंग बैलेंस विद द एंटिटीज बुक. अरिथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी देखो, है ना. नाउ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एडिशंस, all material additions, verify if such expenditure meets criteria of PPE. Cost incurred initially, so it is mentioned कि क्या क्या आपको capitalize करना है. ठीक है. Verify that spare parts and everything is capitalized only when they are held for more than one period as per requirement of AST and revised. ठीक है. Cost of day-to-day servicing will not form part of PP cost. Purchase invoice, installation certificate को check करना है in order to check the date of addition for all additional samples. PP additions हैं, whether approved by authorized personnel है या नहीं, internal process है या नहीं, inviting competitive quotations, floating tenders prior to finalizing the vendor. ठीक है. Supporting documents को check करो. Now this is with respect to deletion. Same. What is the management reason? Rationale, है ना. Could be, see, example can be new purchase of similar asset once the old was no longer fit to be used in production process. Manner of disposal. ठीक है. So obtain management approval, discard note, verify the process being followed, inviting competitive quotes, tenders, है ना. Verify that management has accurately recorded the deletion, that is original cost less the accumulated depreciation up to the date of disposal and the resultant gain in the entity's books of account. Simple. Valuation के लिए we have seen. See, this paragraph talks about why is depreciation charged, what is depreciation. ठीक है. So it says that unless and until depreciation is charged, the P&L is not going to show the correct picture. Why? Because depreciation is what it is. The asset depreciate due to efflux of time. Efflux is what? Passage of time. है ना. Use and obsolescence. ठीक है. So verify that it is charged on all items except non-depreciable. Depreciation method should reflect the pattern in which the asset's future economic benefits are expected to be consumed by the entity. ठीक है. And impairment अगर की है, then whether as per AS 28 impairment of assets has been done. See, what is impairment, students? One or two students are saying, ma'am, elaborate on this point. See, in order to ensure that the carrying amount, that is the amount that is coming in the balance sheet, it should not exceed the recoverable amount that is recoverable if it is sold in the market, then the asset is impaired. ठीक है. So the procedure that need to be followed when there is a reduction in the value of asset, so as to ensure that a carrying amount of asset, जिस value पे it is coming in the financial statement, it should not exceed the recoverable amount. So that asset is what? Impaired in terms of AS 28. है ना. So whether management has done that or not. Now with respect to the rights, you have we have discussed that invoices check होंगे या legal title of ownership in case of land and building. If the originals are not there, then whether for all the editions of land and building, check the conveyance date, seal date, and original HELO. And if it is not there, then ask the management to obtain the confirmation from the respective lenders. ठीक है. Register of charges. In addition, the auditor should also verify the register of charges available with the entity to assess that the charge has been created against the PEP. So there is a fixed asset register and a register of charges also, whereby देखो कोई भी, in the last session also we have discussed that whenever an asset is given as a security, so register of charges it will be added and the same will be registered with the ROC also within a particular statutory period which is given in the Companies Act. So whether that has been done or not, है ना? Because it should not happen that the company is taking loan on one particular asset again and again. अगर वो register of charges में आ गया है कि इसके ऊपर ये वाला loan already है, so another loan will not be given with respect to that particular asset. ठीक है? So with this we have covered the topic PP the uh, except for the disclosure requirements and the notes. ठीक है? And for all those who are, again I like to repeat here that for all those who are having old hard copies of the study material, please refer to the soft copy that is available on your BOS knowledge portal. There are a number of changes, disclosures, notes, a number of changes are there. ठीक है? So tell me, is it clear? Shall we proceed with the topic disclosure? Again, very logical, very simple. Shall we proceed? कोई doubt है तो please send in your doubts. And students, the next topic in this module is what? Intangible assets, है ना? And you will see that the verification with respect to various assertion of intangible assets now, except for few, will be on same lines as we are doing for PPE. So today to we'll be able to complete with PPE only. Let's see whether we'll be able to complete the disclosures also with respect to PPE. But before coming for the next session, which is on Tuesday, since intangible assets ka verification is on the same lines, so please, before coming for that session, do read the verification of PP, जो आज हम कर लेंगे, ठीक है? ठीक है. Now, with respect to disclosure requirement, again, Schedule 3, Part 1 to the Companies Act, जिसमें क्या है? Disclosure requirement of property, plant and equipment. ठीक है? So, classification shall be given as land, building, plant and equipment, furniture, fixtures, vehicles, office equipment, others. This is clear. ये पहला point तो easy है ना? Separate different heads. You will be mentioning the PP, like land है, building है, such disclosure shall be given. ठीक है? Now thereafter, assets under lease. If any asset has been taken under lease, it shall be separately specified under each class of asset. ठीक है? If it is taken on lease, ठीक है? तो उसको separately show करोगे. ठीक है? Clear second point? Now, third point. A reconciliation of gross and net carrying amounts of each class of asset. Each class of asset मतलब जो अभी हमने ऊपर पढ़ा ना कि land, building ऐसे. At the opening and beginning and end of reporting period. है ना? तो whatever is the opening and the closing. और यहाँ पर क्या क्या आपका प्लस माइनस आएगा? एडिशन हुआ, डिलीशन हुआ, एक्विजिशन हुआ थ्रू बिजनेस कॉम्बिनेशन, अमाउंट ऑफ चेंजेस ड्यू टू रीवैल्यूएशन. दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. अभी हम ये ब्रैकेट डिस्कस करेंगे. अदर एडजस्टमेंट्स एंड रिलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन एंड इम्पेयरमेंट लॉसेस और रिवर्सल शैल बी डिस्क्लोज सेपरेटली. ठीक है? नाउ इट सेज दैट रीवैल्यूएशन को आप कब शो करोगे? If the change is 10% or more in the aggregate of net carrying value of each PPE. है ना? So the company is required to give the disclosure of gross and net carrying amounts of each class with opening and closing balances. और जो opening से closing आने में जो भी plus minus हुए हैं, that the company is going to show. With respect to the revaluation, that will be shown if and only if the change, whether it is upwards or downwards, whether revaluation आपने किया है upward or downward, it should lead to a change of 10% or more. If it is less than 10%, तो उसको separately it will not be shown here. ठीक है? If the change is 10% or more in the aggregate of net carrying value of each class of PPE, then it will be shown. So 100 बढ़ने का it is lesser. ठीक है? So see, with respect to the opening and closing, so it is explained here in detail कि opening closing को कैसे देखना है. Opening balance of gross carrying amount plus the additions, plus acquisition through addition, through acquisitions, business combination, disposal किया है, demerger में disposal किया है या other adjustment, कोई borrowing cost को capitalize किया है, closing balance of gross carrying amount, and again with respect to each class of PP, ओपनिंग accumulated depreciation क्या था, चार्ज फॉर द ईयर क्या था, डिडक्शन क्या था, या क्लोजिंग क्या है. एंड अगेन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ईच क्लास ऑफ पीपी, accumulated impairment का ओपनिंग क्या था, impairment losses क्या है, रिवर्सल्स क्या है, क्लोजिंग क्या है, दैट विल बी शोन. ठीक है. सो दिस विच इज नॉट हाईलाइटेड, दिस पार्ट, इट इज बेसिकली एक्सप्लेनिंग एज टू how this reconciliation will be given. Plus one of the important point is what, that revaluation will be shown if it brings about a change of 10% or more in the aggregate of the net carrying value of each class of PPE. Clear? Is it clear? Okay. Further, the fourth point, again, it is, see, these points, these are what, this point also. These are again the part of the amended schedule 3. So very, very important. So fourth point, it says that there are two things in point number 4. It says that where any of the asset has been revalued, है ना, either it is written up or down. ठीक है. If you remember in reduction of capital section 66 also we have seen कि overvaluation है तो we will revalue the asset, है ना. Same way if it is added, any sums have been added on revaluation, तो अगर आपने add भी किया या write off भी किया, so first of all it says the year in which the revaluation has been done, the amount of the PP is going to come at the revalued amount. Obvious है, अब आपने revalue कर दिया तो revalued amount में आएगा. Further it says that that amount of increase or reduction along with the date on which that revaluation has taken place, the company is going to disclose these two things for the first 5 years immediately after the date of such reduction or increase. तो जो अगले 5 सालों की बैलेंस शीट बनेगी ना, उसमें you are going to mention, the company is going to mention as to what is the amount and what is the date of the revaluation. So एक बारी read करते, then it is going to be clear to you. Where sums have been written off on a reduction of capital or revaluation of asset, or where some have been added on revaluation of assets. तो revaluation upward है या downward है. Every balance sheet subsequent to the date of such write-off or addition shall show the reduced or increased figure. Obviously, अब revalue हो गया तो आप reduced या increased figure ही दिखाओगे. As applicable, this is the one point. And shall, by way of note, also show the amount of the reduction or increase as applicable together with date. So amount show करना है, date करना है, show कब, thereof for the first 5 years subsequent to the date of such reduction or increase. पहले 5 साल की जो भी बैलेंस शीट बनेगी subsequent to the date of such reduction or increase. Clear है? So let us just have a look at the disclosure requirements again. With respect to PPE, हमने क्या पढ़ा? That property, plant and equipment will be classified as what? Land, building, all these bifurcations. Then asset under lease will be shown separately. ठीक है? A reconciliation of the gross and net carrying amount of each class of asset at the beginning and at the end will be shown. तो उसमें सब आएगा, acquisition, additions, deletions, acquisitions through business combination, everything will come जो हमने नीचे भी पढ़ा. And revaluation कब आएगा? If there is a change of 10% or more in the aggregate of the net carrying value of each class of PP. ठीक है? And then when the asset is written up or down, then from that date, जब भी balance sheet बनेगी आप revalued figures ही लेंगे. And from that date, 5 years subsequent to such date, the amount of revaluation, whether increase or decrease, and the date will also be mentioned. ठीक है? So with this, we have done what are disclosure requirements of PPE. And again, a direct question can always come with respect to the disclosure requirements of PPE. ठीक है? So यहाँ तक you will have to write. This is a further explanation ना कि reconciliation कैसे दिखाना है. ठीक है? Tell me, is it clear? then we'll be starting with the notes. So abhi tak in this chapter till page number 9.53 we haven't left any topic. Notes we with respect to share capital that I have left in the first session have now been completed. Okay. So what does this indicate? That before coming for the next session, you must have read this chapter till page number, like whatever we will be covering after this, but at least till page number 9.53. Okay. Now with respect to notes, and again, as I tell you that these notes are what the additional, like many of these points are what the additional regulatory information as is required by the, so Barnika, Darshan, Diksha are saying, ma'am, clear. Others also please reply. Shall we proceed with the notes? All notes with respect to PPE we will not be able to finish, I think. So I'll try to at least cover this first point. So Bhumika is saying, ma'am, okay. Others also please reply. Okay, so title deeds. So first point is what, as I've told you, this is again what additional regulatory information that the company is required to disclose in the notes to accounts. Okay. So title deeds of immovable property is what one of the example of PPE. So that is why this particular point has come under this head. Not held in the name of the company. Dekho, if any of the PPE is coming, land and building is coming in the balance sheet. So the title deed should be held in the name of the company. So if the auditor comes across an occasion whereby the title deed of immovable property is not held in the name of the company. So what is the disclosure requirement? He will check whether management has done that. See. So the company shall provide the details of all the immovable property other than properties where the company is a lessee and lease agreements are duly executed in favor of the lessee. So देखो where the company is a lessee, company has taken any immovable property on lease. So obviously in that case, तो the title deed would be in the name of the lessor ना, है ना? तो we are not talking about that case here. ठीक है? So the company shall provide the details of all immovable property whose title deeds are not held in the name of the company in the format given below, or where such immovable property is jointly held with others, details are required to be given to the extent of the company share. है ना? तो अभी we are not talking about lease, क्योंकि lease में तो but obvious है ना कि वो lesser के name पे ही होगी ना title deed, है ना? So where the property is getting reflected in the financial statements, but the title deed are not in the name of the company, or it has been held with others, then the company is required to give certain information in the format given. Okay. So what is that format? So what is the relevant line item in the balance sheet? Description of the item of property, gross carrying value, title deeds held in the name of, किसके name पे है? Whether title deed holder is a promoter or a director or relative of the promoter director or employee of promoter director. ठीक है? अगर कंपनी के नेम पे नहीं है तो क्या प्रमोटर के नेम पे है, डायरेक्टर के नेम पे है, रिलेटिव ऑफ प्रमोटर या डायरेक्टर के नेम पे है, या एम्प्लॉय ऑफ प्रमोटर या डायरेक्टर के नेम पे है. प्रॉपर्टी हेल्ड सिंस विच डेट, reasons for not being held in the name of the company in case of any dispute indicate that. ठीक है? So we will discuss this, but यहाँ पर एक बार देखते हैं promoter and relative. Promoter and relative is as defined in the Companies Act 2013. Simple है. So what is this information? This is to be given by the management of the company, whereby the title deed of any immovable property other than the lease arrangement, these are not held in the name of the company, or company is holding them with others. So first of all, whether that is a PPE, whether that is investment property, whether that is PPE retired from active use and held for disposal or others. What is the item of property? Land and building. Gross carrying value, the value at which it is coming in the balance sheet. Title deed held in the name of. So if it is held in name of, let's say, Mr. X, who is the promoter. So here it will be mentioned what is the relationship. ठीक है? कौन से डेट से and what is the reason. So the company is itself required to give all this information. ठीक है? Is it clear? And as we have seen that relative and promoter का definition is as is given in the Companies Act 2013. So students यहाँ पर भी देखो यही है. You will see why this information. See, this is a very risky situation, and that the immovable property is getting reflected in the financials, but the title deed is not held in the name of the company. So what is the reason? Who is holding? From which date that particular person is holding? At what value it is coming in the financials, the gross carrying value. Okay. So this is the information which who is going to give? The company itself is going to give in the financials in the notes to accounts. Okay. Now we will do this second point also, and third point I'll take up in the next session. Jyoti, I'll share the notes. Okay. Screenshot for screenshot. So second point, see, we have done this point na, that agar revaluation hota hai and it is more than 10% or more hai, then such revaluation amount will be shown. Okay? And this point is also related to that only. It says basically that where the company has revalued its PPE, the company shall disclose as to whether the revaluation is based on valuation by a registered valuer as defined under Rule 2 of Companies Registered Valuers and Valuation Rule 2017. तो ऐसे ही किसी से revalue नहीं करवा लेना है. So there are registered valuer who are registered under Rule 2 of the Companies Registered Valuers and Valuation Rules 2017. So the company will itself mention कि whether जो revaluation करवाए उन्हीं से करवाए ना, किसी और से तो नहीं करवाए. ठीक है? So this is the second, this is one of the additional regulatory information that the company is required to give in terms of amended Schedule 3 to the Companies Act. ठीक है? So अभी के लिए I'm not taking up this third point because it is quite lengthy point. But wait for 5 minutes. Jyoti has asked me to share the screen because she wants to take the screenshot, Hana. So let us just have a look at the PPE wala point, and then I'll share the screen. So this we have done. Acha, theek hai, just a minute. Others, meanwhile, send in your queries if you have any. So for all those who want to take the screenshot can take that. And I always tell you students, start summarizing this chapter. And if you do not understand the way I have summarized, you can always follow your own way. But start summarizing because this is a lengthy chapter. If you will not summarize, then this chapter is going to be tough for you. Hai? But if you summarize apne keywords mein likhoge, then this chapter is going to be a cakewalk and very scoring for all of you. Okay? So this is with respect to PPE, and this is what existence, then completeness. This is addition, deletion, valuation, rights. So I hope it is, you can take a screenshot now. Jyoti, is it clear? Okay. So intangible we will be doing in the next class. This is with respect to land building existence, completeness, like PP. Then this is the screenshot with respect to your inventories. I hope it is done, Jyoti, and others also. Then the other assertion rights with respect to inventory. Okay. So quickly send in your replies. Is there any doubt with respect to what we have done? And students, I'm repeating it again and again. Please, till here we have covered. This is page number 9.54. Please, before coming for the next session, go through the module in entirety till this chapter because, and more specifically PPE wala topic, because the next topic of intangible assets, it's purely like it is almost the same as we have done for PPE. Okay? And I have told you when we were doing trade receivables that trade receivables ki lines pe hi same topic kya hai, trade payables. So be smart learners. है ना, इन टॉपिक्स को अच्छे से करो and just pick up what are the different points with respect to intangible assets or your creditors, and just pick up those keywords. Okay, so I'm waiting for your replies. Please tell me whether you have understood. Students, have tried to simplify all things in this chapter and to summarize all things in this chapter so that you are able to learn, understand and learn. Okay. So is it clear, Jyoti? Have you taken the screenshots and others also? So we will end the session for today and see you on Tuesday. But again, before coming for the next session, please go through the module in entirety, and from next session onwards, we will start discussing the MCQs. ठीक है? So before coming for the session, पूरा module पढ़ के आना so that you are yourself able to answer the MCQs and the questions that we are going to discuss. ठीक है? So thank you and good night and see you on Tuesday.